there has never been a more important time to move in a vegan direction. Whether you're ready to start, restart, or re-energize your vegan or plant-based practice, this podcast is for you. I'm Michelle Olander, life coach, vegan, ADHD matriarch, travel lover, and smoothie loather. And I know that it's the details that get in the way of your vegan journey. But I like to believe that the obstacle is always the way. So every week we meet here where I translate the tools of life coaching and Stoic philosophy. I bring you actionable tips, some laughs, interesting guests, and vegan ideas for everyone at any age. All to help you veg your best. Episode 232, 19 Ways Not to Go Vegan. Hi, my Veg Your Bestie. You know, I was interviewed recently, and we'll see if that ever comes to sees the light of day, but I'll let you know if that interview goes to print. But one of the questions the interviewer asked was, what keeps people from succeeding on their vegan or plant-based journey? And I answered, but I made a list here afterwards of some of those things. And, in case you haven't been listening to me for very long, it's basically the same as what goes wrong on any new venture or challenge or undertaking. But let's see what you think. And if being plant-based or vegan is not a big challenge for you anymore, maybe some of these categories are things that are keeping you from your next big evolution. So, 19 ways. I think there might be more. I think maybe a couple of them could have been put together. We'll see. But this is the first iteration of this. 19 ways not to go vegan. Number 1. This is a big one, and it's been one of the concepts right from the beginning of this podcast. Number 1 way not to go vegan is to start tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, starting later, waiting for the right time to go vegan, well, that's an important way not to go vegan. There is no objectively perfect time or place to start your vegan journey. There just isn't. There's no objectively right way to go about it unless you think about it the way I do, which is, well, the objectively perfect time is here and now in whatever way seems feasible given your situation and your skill level right now. You could start today with one choice, with one meal, with one snack. You could start with one internet search or one request at a grocery store or at your local restaurant or at the coffee shop. Even if they don't have a plant-based milk for your coffee, you asked. And now you know loads more than you did before you asked. And you know what? So do they. Progress compounds over time. Number 2 way not to go vegan, decide to read one more thing before you begin. Well, this is sort of like number 1. Wait till tomorrow, start later. Reading articles, cookbooks, websites, watching documentaries, listening to podcasts about veganism, those are all great things, especially podcasts, right? Podcasts are a really great thing. But I'm not just trying to get you to consume loads more content before you limit your consumption of animals. Action is always the key, even imperfect action. Maybe you try making one of your already go-to meals without meat, dairy, eggs, or fish. Things like tacos, pizza, pasta, soups, those are all meals that are very easily veganizable. So try it. Try it without reading or learning a single new thing. How could you make one plant-based meal that's already familiar to you and your family? Your vegan practice, it's like any other practice. It's not a spectator sport. It actually takes practice. So number 3 way not to go vegan, get your advice from people who aren't vegan. Non-vegans most likely don't understand your goals. Really, they don't. I was like that too once upon a time. Almost any vegan or plant-based person you meet was once a meat eater. Really, they can tell you what worked and what didn't for them in their real lives. So seek guidance from those people who have been where you are and are maybe ahead of you on this path. People who have successfully transitioned and can offer some practical advice. Number 4 way not to go vegan, expect support from family and friends. Expect your family and friends to support you more than you support you. That's what happens. Supportive community, sure, it can make all the difference in staying motivated. And an unsupportive community of family and friends, yep, it can be a challenge, a real challenge. That's no argument at all. And Veg Your Best podcast started exactly because I wanted to make sure that there was someone midlife and older women could see went vegan in her 50s without vegan friends in real life. Someone who was willing to be that vegan friend for anyone that's starting, restarting, or re-energizing their plant-based practice. But please don't hang your goals on buy-in from people who aren't even thinking the way you are. And by the way, when we feel unsupported in any way, maybe we can challenge ourselves to see how we can be not only supportive to ourselves, but to be supportive friends and family members for others. Number 5 way not to go vegan, fail once and quit forever. I know we've all done this in some way, and maybe forever is 6 months or a year or 3 weeks, I don't know. But we fail and then we're just like, never mind. But a slip up does not mean failure. Did you get overwhelmed and maybe just ate what everyone else is eating? Make the next best choice at the next option that you've got. If you found yourself unable to explain your needs in another language or in another culture or in another person's house, just learn from it and move forward. Progress, not perfection, right? That's what matters. I can't think of any important success in the history of man that was not built on failures. Number 6, worry about whether people are being fair to you. So, you're listening to a podcast, so my guess is you've probably got a few advantages on this earth. Not everyone will get why you're vegan. That's okay. It's no big deal. In fact, that's maybe what makes it such a powerful choice for you to make right now. Focus on your reasons and let your actions inspire others to make their own powerful choices instead of seeking their approval. Number 7 way not to go vegan, blame your situation, okay? You can't control where you live maybe or what others eat around you, but you can control many aspects of your food choices, your meal prep, and how you respond to challenges. If you can't make all the choices you would like, well, maybe you just concentrate on making the choices that you can make until that feels a little bit easier, a little more doable. You will learn so much just doing what you can. Ethical, sustainable, healthy choices, these are not just limited to your food choices either. Concentrating on the change that is possible for you, that's not just about going vegan or plant-based. Look where you do have control. 19 ways not to go vegan. Number 8, complain about the limited options instead of taking action. Instead of lamenting the lack of vegan options, I mean, we've all done it. We've all been there. I'm not judging anybody. This happens, but we want to concentrate that when we notice we're lamenting the lack of vegan options, that we advocate for change. It's the time then to ask restaurants for plant-based dishes, or to learn how we could cook a delicious meal at home, or offer it to our friends. We could just type vegan into the search bar. Really, let vegan be one of the biggest search terms that people are looking for. Businesses pay attention to that. You can also at least ask your cosmetics company whether the soap you're buying is tested on animals. You can do more than nothing. You can always do more than nothing. 1% better, 1% more focus each day. I promise you it will transform your life and your entire corner of the world. 19 ways not to go vegan. Number 9, expecting anyone to help you. The world isn't fully vegan yet. That's an understatement. In fact, it's hardly vegan at all. So take a little responsibility anywhere you can for planning ahead, whether it's packing snacks, researching vegan-friendly places when you're traveling. Don't expect that anyone is there to help. You really can do this. And number 10, comparing yourself to other vegans. This is a big problem. I call the podcast Veg Your Best because your journey, how you veg your best, that's your journey. Don't feel pressured by influencers or others who seem to have got it down, seem to be perfect. Never compare your before to someone else's after. You know that expression, right? Focus on being the best version of you in your plant-based practice. I have loads of vegans on the podcast to try and show you that there is for sure no one way to go vegan, no one way to be plant-based. There's no one way, there's no one story. Don't let anyone else's story negate or minimize your story. Number 11, ways not to go vegan. Avoid discomfort. This is true in every aspect of our lives, I think, in this world. Because once upon a time, human beings could only dream of avoiding discomfort. Now we have so many ways that we can numb out and try to check out from all the discomfort in the world. Change, I'm sorry, I hate to be the one that told you, it's uncomfortable. Learning new habits, facing new social situations as a vegan, putting yourself out there for others to potentially weigh in on or comment on. Yep, it can be uncomfortable. Maybe embrace the discomfort because it for sure is part of growth. I can't imagine that I ever would have started this podcast in my 60s without the lessons I got from going vegan in my 50s. Avoiding awkward conversations and discomfort, it's not how we protect our health or our families or our fellow earthlings and environment. Don't spend any time avoiding discomfort. Number 12, in all the ways of not to go vegan, settle for mediocre plant-based meals. You know, I don't know why this one is in there. I figured this is something all of you have probably conquered by now. Some of us, though, still assume that vegan food is boring. So don't assume vegan food is boring. So many cuisines are vegan and plant-based, and they are filled with flavor and spice. And there are all kinds of cooking techniques which are not difficult that will help create satisfying dishes that excite you. So it is true, I do think some people don't dial in the joy that's possible in a plant-based meal, and that is a good way of not making a successful transition towards plant-based practices. Number 13, one of the ways of not going vegan is to make big, huge pronouncements. And I would say instead of announcing big changes you're making to family and friends and colleagues, consider simply working on your own. Consider just your own consistent progress while you grow your vegan and plant-based skills. Your actions will speak so much louder than your words. Show people how fulfilling a plant-based lifestyle can be through your actions rather than engaging in debates. Number 14, wait until you know everything there is to know about veganism. I have seen loads of you do this. I get this question all the time. Michelle, I'm not sure that I'm able to debate or be in an argument or stand up for my reasons. You actually do not need to ever indulge anybody in an argument. You can just say, yeah, thank you. You do you, I'll do me. There's a million ways you can deflect them. You just do not need to be an expert to start living a plant-based lifestyle. You don't. You are allowed to learn as you go, and you can share whatever works for you along the way, or you can just not share it. Number 15 in the list of how not to go vegan. Aim to be a perfect vegan. There's no perfect vegan, right? Full stop. No perfect vegans out there. When it gets easier for you, well, then maybe you've got the bandwidth to learn something else. But be honest about your challenges and wins. What has been difficult for you or challenging for you actually makes your journey very relatable and inspiring for others. So don't worry about being a perfect vegan. Number 16, how not to be vegan. Forget to focus on your why. This happens sometimes. We forget to focus on what really matters. Remember why you even started thinking about limiting or eliminating the consumption of animals. Was it health? Was it animals? Was it the environment? Was it all three? Reconnect with your purpose whenever you find yourself scattered and your motivation is not all there. Number 17 on our list of 19 ways not to go vegan, start multiple challenges at once. Okay, this happens all the time too. I see this. Please try to focus on one major aspect at a time. Like maybe it's simply just noticing where you're eating animal products and where you're not. Simple. Or you can maybe practice concentrating on mastering your meal prep, or maybe you're trying to replace cosmetics that are tested on animals, or maybe you eat out a lot and you want to practice asking for vegan options while you're traveling or in restaurants. Concentrate on specific areas that move the needle most for your goals before adding additional layers to your practice. Because if you're new to eating meals without animal ingredients, I suggest maybe you don't decide that you also have to eat raw or oil-free or do intermittent fasting or attend animal vigils all at once. Science has been super clear that humans can make huge, ambitious changes, but not successfully in loads of areas at once. So choose where you want to concentrate for a few weeks or a month. And if you want a great book about that, Willpower by Roy Baumeister. Now, number 18 in our list of 19 ways not to go vegan, waste mistakes. If something isn't working on your vegan journey, adjust your approach until you find sustainable solutions that work for you. If you need more protein or energy, yes, you can do that by eating more plant-based food and protein. If you found yourself too overwhelmed in certain situations, too overwhelmed to advocate for your plant-based requirements, let's see what we can put into place to keep that from happening again, or solutions to help you advocate for yourself better when you're feeling overwhelmed. Don't waste the mistakes. Don't waste the challenges. When I own my mistakes, challenging as it can be, I still am able to see the alternatives and the solutions that are there. When I put those mistakes at the feet of others who didn't care or get it or know better, I only see my excuses. How do I know? I've done both. I've done both. Okay, my Veg Your Besties, this is a list of some mindset distinctions that if you've been listening to the podcast for 230 plus consecutive weeks, you've heard me discuss most of these to some level or another. But I thought that with some new listeners here and the new year, I'd run through them like this, kind of in a whole slew of them at once. And maybe there's one that's jumped out at you. And for me, for sure, it's the avoiding discomfort category. New things require discomfort. And I have been pitching myself to be on some other podcasts lately, and it has felt very uncomfortable. And uncomfortable even though I've been putting out this podcast every single week for almost 5 years. It still feels uncomfortable. And I have found dozens of reasons to say, oh, it's not the right time. Maybe that's not the right podcast. Maybe I don't know enough yet to go on that one. Maybe I need other people to get it. So I'm not immune to any of these. These are typical ways our human brain works, that we focus on what won't work instead of on what we could do that does. And if you have any recommendations, please feel free to let me know. Or even better, let those podcasts know you think I'd be a great guest on their podcast. Okay, last one. Number 19 of 19 ways not to go vegan. Assume you're always right about nutrition and ethics. Stay open-minded, please. Stay ready to keep learning. That's what we're hoping everyone else is going to do too, right? So, stay open-minded. Keep learning. Let me know if there are some categories you would like to include on this list, if we redo it, or if I write it out, or if I post it on Instagram. I'd love to make sure that I'm including all the things that maybe were in your way as you started or restarted or re-energized your plant-based practice. And now you know there's another way to go about it. All right? So let me know what you'd include on this list as you go about your week and veg your best.
Veg Your Best podcast production, music, and editing by Charlie Weinshank. Thanks, Charlie. Before you go, it would mean so much to me and the Veg Your Best team if you would hit subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, or share with someone you think might be interested. Something about algorithms, it helps bump us up a little in the rankings, and that's the best way to help others find the podcast and for us to find our audience. So, until next week, make it easy and veg your best.